Spare rations. Why is it so damn popular and so damn good? Let's talk about it. So the spare rations itself is a 150 RPM archetype hand cannon. And I think we should dive into what the weapon offers itself before we look into its competition and why it is so popular right now in PvP. So the spare rations has any of the 4 damage increasing traits, meaning it has the option to get multi-kill clip, rampage, regular kill clip, and swashbuckler. So pick your poison there. Whichever you prefer, it can get it. In its other trait slot, it can get rapid hit, which is the best reload trait out there. You don't need to get a precision kill, just a couple precision hits, and you have lightning fast reload speeds. It can also get high caliber rounds or ricochet rounds for range increasing to give you either a little bit more stability and the option to get ricochet kills around corners, or at least threaten it, or you can get a little bit more flinch out of your ammunition. Either way. The one downside that spare rations has over other hand cannons, though, is that it cannot get different sights on it. You can get different barrels for it, which is a downside because then you cannot get things like the True Sight HCS sight, which does give more aim assist. And aim assist is definitely something that the spare rations has its strong suit in. Base stats, the spare rations has 92 aim assist, which is the highest out there as far as base stats go for aim assist. Get this thing with a range masterwork and a couple other range increasing traits like ricochet rounds, corkscrew rifling. Pick your poison there as well. As long as it increases range, it's good, and this thing has a fair share of it for being a 150. So let's take a closer look now at what it has for competition, specifically in its archetype. Now, it does have 2 exotic competitors, one being Thorn and the other Lumina, and they both do their own thing very well, but I think comparing apples to apples here, we need to go with other legendaries or lower. And as far as that goes, we only have year 1 options, or technically we have Rose, which is or was added in Forsaken, but it's a static roll and it's missing one of its traits. And I don't have it in my inventory, so I'll just quickly show it here in collections. Where did it go? Here we go, Rose. It does have Outlaw, but if you see here, it's got Polymer Grip and does not have a second trait. It's a good hand cannon in its own right, has good base stats, decent aim assist, but it's basically an exotic without an exotic trait attached to it. And that's where I didn't really consider that too much of a competition, even though it is in itself a good hand cannon. So the other 150 RPM kinetic hand cannons that we have Dire Promise, Midnight Coup, and One Earth. Yes, I went down to a green, because those are the other options, unless you go to exotic. Dire Promise is no longer attainable. If you didn't get it unlocked in year 1 during the faction rallies and gotten it from Dead Orbit, you can't get it. It does have just about as high as aim assist as the spare rations. It does have decent base stats, but it's a year 1 weapon, you cannot put year 2 mods in it, and it's no longer attainable. The Midnight Coup, you can get it from Leviathan, from the raid, if you want to go into there, and it does have really good traits on it, and it was an incredibly popular hand cannon, even through most of Forsaken. But comparing its base stats to spare rations, it's just not as much, and it does not have nearly as much aim assist. And then we go all the way down to the One Earth, and the only reason why I brought this up is because it is very, very close in base stats to its aim assist rating of spare rations, but the other base stats, of course, are very much lacking because it is a green, and it does not have any traits or well, it does have a magazine perk, but there's no traits on this weapon whatsoever, and you cannot put a mod into it. So there's really no competition when it comes to the spare rations versus other hand cannons in its own archetype, and going beyond it to, let's say, 140s, 180s, and 110s, the hand cannon stat squish, the hand cannon range normalization really put an end to that competition there as well. Before Season 3 or Year 3 started, before Shadowkeep started, things like the Austringer and the Ace of Spades ruled the Crucible because of their range stat. They had much higher range and could kill from much farther distances. but the hand cannon range nerf, or normalization, whatever you want to call it, I call it a nerf, made it so basically the Austringer and the Ace of Spades only have like 1 more meter of range versus the spare rations, and 1 extra meter of range is nothing in the Crucible. So there we go, there's literally no real competition. Granted, the Thorn can have a faster time to kill once you get its Soul Devourer perk and Mark of the Devourer going, but with time to kill calculated in with multi-kill clip and things, the spare rations is right along with it. So this thing is basically an exotic hand cannon, except it's legendary. So you can use other things. You can use an exotic secondary weapon, you can use an exotic heavy, and also we have to take into account what you can team up with as your special weapon with the spare rations. We have literally the best shotgun in the game, Mindbender's Ambition, the only aggressive frame shotgun to roll with quick draw, making it the best shotgun in the game. We have snipers like the Beloved, which have a ton of aim assist themselves and are incredibly popular as far as snipers go. And if we want to go into it, we have the Arantil FR4, which is well far and above the best fusion rifle in the game. It's even better than most exotics. So there's really no other better weapon to use if you want mid-range as your primary. And I brought up the aim assist more than once. And if you don't know what aim assist is, it just helps you hit your target. I'm going to show you a quick test comparing 2 different hand cannons that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum of aim assist to show you exactly what it does. Okay, so to show the difference in aim assist and what it does for you here, Ducky and myself are in a private match, and you'll see she is 30 meters away from me according to the Darcy. Bottom left from the center of the crosshair, you'll see 30M. She's 30 meters away. If I back up, the number increases. If I go forward, the number decreases. 30 meters away. Very neat tool to use if you're trying to do weapon tests like this. But the 2 hand cannons that I will be using, I'll be using Jack Queen King 3 and The Last Word. So Jack Queen King 3 has the highest aim assist out of any hand cannon out there, it being a 150 RPM hand cannon with a base aim assist rating of 91, which is 1 lower than spare rations at 92, but the Jack Queen King can get True Sight HCS on it, which gives a +5 bonus to aim assist, whereas spare rations cannot get that because you can switch barrels on it. So technically, the Jack Queen King is the highest aim assist weapon in the game as far as hand cannons are concerned, and the Last Word is the lowest at 40. Now granted, the Last Word is kind of a unique hand cannon, it being the only 225 RPM hand cannon in the game, but it does technically have the quickest time to kill out there. Interesting that its aim assist is so low. Imagine if that was higher. Imagine if that was in the 90s. But anyways, we're about 30 meters away, and we can of course still hit our target, and this is out of max range of both of our hand cannons. They are not hitting for their full potential, and that's really where aim assist kind of makes things better, because when you're up close and personal, hitting your target in the head isn't that difficult, but when the head is a lot smaller, that far away, 30 meters away, Ducky's head is pretty tiny in comparison. In fact, my crosshair covers up a large chunk of it. So let's take The Last Word back out, and if we aim center mass on Ducky's head, of course we still hit, but if we go just a little bit higher, we don't at all. Aiming center of her health bar doesn't hit her in the head, but if I pull out the Jack Queen King and do the same thing, it hits her in the head still. And in fact, if I just aim at her stomach, it still hits her in the head. If I pull out The Last Word, it's going to body shot. So that's the difference that aim assist can do for you. Now granted, this is one extreme to the other, going from 40 to 96, but what you have to keep in mind is Destiny 2 is not on a dedicated server. It's using a modified peer-to-peer network, and so what aim assist does for you, especially on PC where you don't have sticky targeting with your crosshair like you do when you use a controller, is aim assist helps make up for inconsistencies in the gameplay. Meaning, like, if I'm moving side to side, if I'm crouching up and down, I'm being, nimbly bimbly Titan here, And if my target is doing the same thing, you're a lot more likely to hit your target at all, or even in the head, if you have higher aim assist. So that can come in handy, because even with the best connection possible, if me and Ducky were in the same room, it's still going through that peer-to-peer network, and there's going to be always a little bit of lag, and so aim assist, higher aim assist, is going to help you out with that, which is, of course, very cool. See, I might have actually killed her if I was actually closer. Like that. There we go. Test complete. So now that we've covered what aim assist does for you, you're probably wondering, why the hell aren't people just running around with Jack, Queen, King? And I would expect that to catch on later on as the season progresses, especially now that the Jack, Queen, King is much, much easier to farm for than the spare rations. But ultimately, it's going to come down to what special weapon people want to pair it with. Because we basically have two hand cannons now, one the spare rations and the other the Jack, Queen, King, that have incredibly good base stats, incredibly high aim assist, and are basically the same hand cannon with minor differences here and there, but differences so small they're basically non-existent. It's all going to come down to what special weapon people want to use. Do they want to use their Mindbender's Ambition? They're going to have to use a spare rations if they want a good hand cannon. Or do they want to use the new exotic fusion rifle Bastion? Then they're going to pull out a Jack, Queen, King. That's what I've been doing the last couple days in the Crucible. Just having fun before the Jack, Queen, King catches on, and then I feel bad for using it. Kind of like why I haven't used a spare rations in a long time. But hey, that's neither here nor there. So if you like this style of video where I do deep dives into specific topics, let me know if there's something that you want me to cover in the future down below in the comment section. But if you like this video, hit the like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. If you are new here, subscribe for all the stuff, all my content. It's good times. Should hang out more. But there we are. In conclusion, the spare rations is popular because it's got really good base stats, high aim assist, good traits, and is easily attainable for the most part. But I would expect that to change, and hopefully we see a swing in the sandbox and the meta going into next season if something like Trials is to return. But that'll be it for this video, so don't forget to have a good day, everybody, and I'll catch you all next time.